Wonderful. So good evening, everybody. I'm Dana Levenberg. Welcome to the Town Board of the Town of Ossining regular meeting for Tuesday, April 14th, 2020. Please rise, and we're going to pledge allegiance to a virtual image of our flag. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you don't mind, please remain standing. Before we do a roll call, I'd like to ask everyone to pause for a moment of silence for those in our community who we have tragically lost to the coronavirus. This past week, we have seen hundreds of New Yorkers per day lose their battle against the coronavirus. And we know some of those deaths have been in our own Ossining community. We think constantly of the families of those who have passed and how difficult it is at this time to lose a loved one when we are not able to mourn together with families and friends. In particular, we have lost 4 family members of those very close to our town board. Highway Superintendent Pete Connolly's father-in-law, Sam Ferry, OVAC Chief Nick Franzoso's father-in-law, John Duffy, Assessor's Office aide Sharon Pelaya's grandmother, Agnes Eliason, and Village of Ossining Deputy Mayor Rika Levin's father, Benjamin Levin. Please join me in a moment of silence for those we have lost. Thank you. And as you can see, we have lowered town flags to half staff at the direction of the state and county, as well as village flags in memory of those lost to this terrible scourge. Now for our roll call, please. Unmute Sue.
Councilwoman Feldman,
Present.
Councilwoman Shaw,
Present.
Councilman Meyer, Councilman Wilshire.
They may have to unmute.
Is everybody here? And Supervisor Levenberg.
Here I am. Thank you. So we're going to be starting off our meeting discussing our public hearing. We had adjourned the public hearing about for Club Fit at our last legislative session until tonight's meeting. And it's clear that we will not be able to resume our in-person meetings anytime soon, nor will Club Fit be able to open and operate as normal anytime soon. So we will be adjourning this public hearing once more, and we will renotice at a future date. May I have a motion to adjourn this public hearing to a future date when it will be renoticed?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, wonderful. Okay, I actually just need to shuffle my papers around for a second, so give me a minute. It's a little tougher when you don't have a little desk. Okay, so we're all making do with in our own home environments tonight, and thank you everybody for your patience. Where am I up to? We're doing some announcements, right? I think that's what we're up to. Okay, so I know everyone wants to hear about how our town has been addressing coronavirus and what we have been doing to help. But before I begin to talk about that, I need to make sure that everyone is aware of the importance of filling out the U.S. Census. The census should have sent 3 mailings to you already to encourage everyone to respond online or by phone. You would have received 3 if you hadn't responded to the first one. So if you responded to the first one, that's all you would have gotten. But then if you didn't, and you might have gotten 2, and if you responded to the second one, you wouldn't have gotten the third. But now if you still haven't responded, you've gotten a 3rd mailing. And the 4th and final mailing is going out now and should be received in mailboxes this week or early next week. It's going to give people an opportunity to respond in writing by mail with a paper survey, which will be provided for you in that mailing. You can, of course, still respond online, but if that is daunting, there are other options. We have a lot of our neighbors with a very high response rate in other communities nearby, and we need to step up our game to show that we too in Ossining are a community that understands how important it is to get our number 100% correct. Ensuring an accurate count is more important than ever right now. Did you know that the census responses are invaluable in planning for and responding to crises like the coronavirus pandemic? The Census Bureau produces timely local data that are critical to emergency planning, preparedness, and recovery efforts for all types of emergencies. So, for example, if OVAC would be applying for any sort of grants to be able to better serve our community, the ability to do so and the amount of money they may receive would be based often on census data, and statistics from the American Community Survey can also help identify vulnerable populations like the elderly. You can learn more on the census website, which is www.census.gov. Pretty easy if you need more info. Town of Ossinings's response rate is good for unincorporated. I would say okay, but not great. So please check your mail for your unique code to respond today. And of course, if you live in the villages of Briarcliff and Ossining, you know, this all includes everybody in the town of Ossining, the whole entire town. So let's catch up to some of our neighbors who have already surpassed 60% response rate, like Croton, and yes, our village of Briarcliff is doing excellent, and town of Newcastle. Get those responses in. I promise you it's painless. It only takes about 10 minutes to complete. And that's it for me about census. Now on to our current reality. I want to first thank the entire Ossining community for your patience and understanding as we have all shifted to a new normal. Although our offices remain closed to the public, we have been able to continue to provide nearly all of our usual services, with the exception of the Justice Court, which has been closed by the state through the beginning of May, although we are now learning that they are starting to do some virtual hearings. I'm so proud of our dedicated staff for all they have done to make this transition as seamless as possible by working just as hard, if not harder, from home, coming up with creative solutions to offer remote services, answering office phone calls on their cell phones, and so much more that goes on behind the scenes. We also have many of our essential staff members continuing to work on the front lines, serving our seniors with daily meals, working to ensure our roadways and sewer infrastructure remain operational, even in a storm like yesterday's, overseeing essential construction of affordable housing, maintaining our parks and public spaces, regularly disinfecting all of our workspaces that are in use at this time, and most importantly, attending to our community members experiencing health and safety emergencies via our first responders. I know two of our departments are coming up against a few important deadlines. The town-county taxes on April 30th and deadlines for filing tax exemptions on May 1st, with mailings going out regarding the townwide revaluation next week. My fellow town supervisors and I have been working closely with the county executive and board of legislators to develop a relief program for those who may be experiencing hardships that will make it difficult for them to pay their town and county taxes on time. I will be discussing this in more detail with the board in our work session, but please do know we feel the legislative solution that has been proposed by the Board of Legislators will indeed be very helpful in essentially extending the deadline with only very minor late penalties applying. I would also like to share this message from our assessor, Fernando Gonzalez. The preliminary 2020 assessment change notices will be in the mail Wednesday, April 22nd. Please review your property's value and compare it to recent sales of similar homes in your neighborhood. If you do not agree with your value, the package you will receive in the mail in the coming days will include information and instructions to have an informal review with a Tyler representative via telephone or email. We encourage you to call or go online to set up an appointment as soon as possible. Informal hearings will be conducted until May 12th. The deadline for exemptions to apply for exemptions is still May 1st. Please submit your signed exemption applications or renewals, even if you have not yet completed or filed your 2019 tax returns. It's my understanding that you can use your 2018 return if you have not yet filed your 2019 tax return. If you have any questions, please give our assessor's office a call at 914-762-8274. They're happy to help in any way they can. And as I have mentioned, many of these calls are being answered remotely, even though there are regular phone numbers. Our highway department really stepped it up yesterday to respond to the damage caused by the high winds and the rain we experienced. Office Assistant Fern Quesada took in almost 70 calls yesterday. As of this morning, we had 107 customers without power in the town, mostly due to a tree down on wires on Croton Dam Road, but there were other spots, and I know that there were quite a few outages in both Briarcliff and Village of Ossining. Con Ed has been working around the clock to get power restored, and I received word that many were restored earlier this evening, so we're hopeful to be at 100% by the global estimated restoration time of 11 p.m. tonight, which is what Con Ed gave us this morning. I also learned earlier in the day that Con Ed held a dry ice distribution this afternoon until about 6:30 p.m. to help those who lost power. If power is not restored and they continue to provide this assistance, I will be sure to share that via Facebook again. Another important new development from the state that impacts our town departments has been the decision, again, in conjunction with coronavirus and executive orders, the decision to allow all New Yorkers to vote by mail in the upcoming primaries by absentee ballot in June. Since we have our town clerk, Sue Donnelly, with us tonight, and Ms. Donnelly serves as our liaison to the Board of Elections, we were hoping you might be able to give us an update on absentee ballots, primaries, and how people can prepare in advance of the election. Madam Clerk.
Well, as of right now, you have to apply for an absentee ballot. And I believe that's New York State law. So you can either go, sorry, very close. You can either go online and apply, which is on our clerk's Facebook page, and we can give it to anyone that calls on the telephone. Or you can ask us to mail you a absentee ballot application. We have them in the office, and we would gladly mail it to you. So as of right now, you must apply for your absentee ballot, and I would do that immediately if we have any indication that we would be doing, I'm sorry, I'm terrible at this, be doing this by absentee ballot. So that's about what we have right now. We haven't heard anything else from.
And the phone number in the clerk's office if they want to call is?
Oh my God, 762. I should know it, but call 762-6000 and press for the clerk. I answer most of the calls anyways that come in through the main number.
Perfect. Okay, no problem. That's great. So as of today, numbers for those testing positive for COVID in Ossining, in unincorporated Ossining, are 76. In Village of Ossining, 493. And in the Village of Briarcliff, 50. Although we have begun to see some positive numbers across Westchester and hopefully a little bit of a flattening out of the curve in terms of number of hospitalizations and recovered individuals, the high number in our community reminds us that it is as important as ever to remain vigilant in our efforts to slow the spread of the virus. And that means remaining home as much as possible, exercising social distancing, make sure you sanitize your hands, don't touch your face, wear masks if you need to go out for any essential needs. We owe it to our entire community to take these necessary steps to ultimately reduce the number of positive cases and reduce our impact on our healthcare infrastructure and prevent deaths occurring from this serious illness. So please make sure that you do abide by all of these recommendations, and it's very serious and we need to take it very seriously. I have to say I've been encouraged by the incredible volunteerism throughout the Ossining community and beyond. Not surprised, but definitely encouraged because we know how great our community is. We have people helping put food on tables, educate our children in very trying circumstances, making masks, donating food to healthcare workers and emergency medical responders, and so much more. Galata House has been offering free meals every Friday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Stop and Shop parking lot in Ossining, and I know that they're planning to do that again this week. The Village of Ossining continues to partner with Feeding Westchester to offer weekly food distributions on Tuesdays in multiple locations, which have been changing a little bit, so you need to just check the Village of Ossining website to make sure you know where. Ossining schools are also offering free distributions of food out of Park School, also partnering with Feeding Westchester. The next one of those has been switched to April 22nd. I think originally it was supposed to be tomorrow. The specific locations and times, as I said, have been changing, so please check in weekly for specific instructions on villageofossining.org for the village, and also on oufsd.org, I believe, although I don't remember that offhand, so I'm sorry about that. There has also been good news out of our state and federal government, with much needed assistance on its way via unemployment benefits, loans for small businesses, extensions on utility payments, assistance with mortgage payments, and moratoriums on evictions. These much needed relief programs will hopefully provide peace of mind for those experiencing hardships right now, and I would encourage those that can support these efforts to please do so. Your neighbors are counting on you. The county will be coordinating volunteers to help small businesses navigate these loans and loan applications to guarantee success. And we should be getting more information to share with the public about that in the very near future. We have been regularly sharing updates on these opportunities and resources via our email blasts, so I strongly encourage you to sign up for our Friday supervisors updates and regular updates from some of our departments, including the receiver of taxes. And I believe our clerk also sends out updates. Just go to townofossining.com/C, M as in Mary, S as in Sam, /contacts/email-sign-up, all one word, to make sure you are on our lists. You can also sign up for direct updates from New York State at now.ny.gov/page/S, I don't know why S, but S is in Sam, /coronavirus-updates. We also have a dedicated page on our own town website where you can find up-to-date information about town services and helpful links at townofossining.com/CMS/coronavirus-disease, or just go to townofossining.com and look for the coronavirus symbol, and I think in the upper right-hand corner. We also continue to post our Facebook and Instagram pages, so please follow us, the Town of Ossining New York, and at Town of Ossining. I did hold a Facebook Live Q&A last week on the Town of Ossining Facebook page, and I plan to do so again in the near future. So hopefully, if you follow us, you won't miss a beat. There are many local businesses that continue to offer virtual services during this time, and we have featured many of them on our website. Besides ordering from local eateries, and we have been limiting this in my own personal home because as everybody else, we're all watching our own wallets. I also did order some much needed cleansing products from Bella Maya Day Spa recently. I know Kiara was also offering Easter baskets, and now thinking ahead to Mother's Day, as is Wondrous Things, who will take you on a virtual shopping tour in their store, and Duncan Keene, who's still offering natural beauty products online since they closed their brick and mortar location in Briarcliff. And we have so many other wonderful offerings, so please do check out our website to see all of the wonderful local businesses that are figuring out ways to offer you so that they can make sure that they stay in business and they can be here for all of us when everything opens again, albeit it might be very slowly. And they do need your support so much more now, more than ever. So please make sure that you check that out. The Ossining PTA and Ossining Schools have launched a virtual learning academy with fun classes pre-recorded and available on YouTube. I think I might try the cardio drumming fitness class because that sounds like something I would definitely enjoy. For more information and class links, send an email to ossiningptacouncil@gmail.com or mmastrogiacomo, which is MASTROGIACOMO @OssiningUFSD.org. And that is their website. The Ossining Public Library has been doing an amazing job at providing the community with a variety of online resources to help with remote learning, book recommendations, or exploring the world outside your doors from the comfort and safety of your house. Check out their website, www.ossininglibrary.org, or follow them on Facebook and Instagram @Ossining Public Library. Oh, and Instagram. I'm reading you a funny thing, which is @Ossining Public Library on Instagram. That's it from me. I now ask if any of my board colleagues have any announcements or anything else that they would like to add about our resources. I do want to say that I know the Village of Ossining is working very hard through our dear friend Maddie Zahach to put together an Ossining directory of resources, and hopefully they'll be posting that soon, and we will surely share a link to it as well. Okay, thanks so much. And now if any of my board colleagues have any other announcements.
Nope.
I wanted to give a shout out to Nick Franzoso and OVAC, who have been not only disinfecting our ambulances, but have been disinfecting all of the police cars, fire trucks, for not only Ossining town and village, all of our vehicles, but they've also been doing our surrounding communities and any other community that needs it. And they've really stepped up and made a difference for all of our first responders and work trucks and essential employees. And I wanted to say thank you to them and really, way to go, guys.
Here, here. They have been phenomenal. They have discovered a fantastic product that is not only very effective, but also non-toxic. Apparently you can gargle with it. So, and they have, and they've survived. So this is good news for all of us. And many of the departments have been using that as well to clean our facilities and to clean the facilities that our public is using and our staff is using. Well, not really our public right now, but that this is going to be something that we're going to be looking into in an ongoing way. And as our governor has informed us, it looks like 12 to 18 months before we get back to real normal. So I'm guessing between now and a year and a half from now, we're going to be doing an awful lot of cleaning and sanitizing. And it is good to know that there is a way for us to do that, and also hopefully continue to support OVAC because we will have to figure out a way to make sure that they have the resources that they need, which is something I'm going to be talking about in a little while. Okay, anybody else on the board who wants anything to share anything else?
One more quick thing. The Ossining Fire Department, I've noticed, has been responding to an awful lot of leaf pile fires. It is not okay to put your leaves in a pile and light them, especially during windy days. Apparently they've had quite a number of calls because of this. Everybody's home doing yard work. Please don't do that. They want to respond to real emergencies, not your leaf pile that got out of control. Thank you.
I'm going to take that as your liaison report from the fire department.
Yes.
Wonderful. Does anybody have any other liaison reports to add in at this moment? I know that, again, our parks have been closed to any kind of large gatherings, and we just want to make sure that if you do continue to use any of our parks or public facilities, that you continue to practice social distancing and safe practices, and just make sure if you do get close to anybody, it's only the people that you live with in your family or who you live with. Okay, so next up, I think we're going to go to public comment on agenda items only. And as we continue to navigate the ins and outs of our Zoom online meetings, I would ask any member of the public that would like to comment on the items on our agenda to please raise your virtual hand on Zoom. And Victoria Caffarelli will unmute you because she's the host of this meeting, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask your question. We are still exercising our normal time limit, so please limit your comments to 4 minutes. Is there anybody from the public who would like to comment on any of our agenda items? Victoria, can you just pop back on for a second?
Yeah,
so
I don't see any
you?
hands raised, so I guess we can
Okay, great.
keep on going.
Wonderful.
Victoria, do you just want to quickly explain where the raise your hand feature is?
I'm sorry?
Oh, I just wanted to see if Victoria wanted to quickly explain where the raise your hand feature is.
Well, it is different for everybody, depending
Okay.
on where you're joining from. But you should be able to, I can't see it on my screen right now. Yeah, I think it's different for each person. So
On my iPhone, there seems to be a 3 dots more button. And when you push that, you will see at the top, a list will come up, and one of the choices is raise hand.
yeah, it might be because I'm the host. I don't have that option. So
Okay.
Let me just see if it's under reactions. Let me see. Reactions.
I think on a laptop, it would be on the bottom of the screen.
Under share screen? No. No.
I think it would be different for a member of the public.
Okay.
This is Mindy Lamar. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
We can hear you, yes.
Oh, my hand is raised.
I can't see you at all. Oh, okay. So maybe that's Victoria. Okay, so let's recognize Ms. Lamar for 4 minutes. If you have public comments on agenda items only, please.
Okay, and I assume I'm being heard. First, Dana, thank you so much for your updates. They're extremely informative, and I do appreciate it. I have a question first, which is what cost-saving measures is the town taking has the town put in place? In other words, has anybody been furloughed from the town government? Have there been any salary reductions?
Mindy, I'm just sorry. I just need to break in for 1 second. It sounds to me like you have general comments. This is not on a specific, can you just, if there's a specific agenda item that you're asking about, could you just.
It's about the property tax relief, which is down on number 10.
That's a work session item. So that's.
So I can't comment on property tax relief?
At this moment, I would ask that you just save that for the general visitor recognition portion.
Oh, okay.
We're just taking, right now, we're just asking for if anybody has anything on any of the agenda items, which are our regular meeting agenda items are basically A through F. And then that's pretty much it.
Okay, sorry, I'll come back later.
No problem. Okay, thank you very much. Just so you know, I am going to be talking about property tax relief. That's what we will be discussing in the work session, but yes, you can absolutely offer your comments in the general visitor recognition. Okay, so without further ado, and I think, is there anybody else? I see one other person from the public. Just want to make sure that nobody else wanted to comment on any of the agenda items. Okay, so in that case, let's move on to our board resolutions. Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes, regular meeting. Board of the Town of Ossining hereby approves the March 10th, 2020 minutes of the regular meeting as presented.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much.
Approval of the minutes special meeting, March 16th, 2020. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby approves the March 16th, 2020 minutes of the special meeting as presented.
Motion?
So
So-
moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Actually, Councilman Wiltshire was in attendance at that meeting.
Okay, so that's
Oh,
okay. He
okay.
can still move it. He can just abstain. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Abstentions? Councilman Wiltshire? Okay.
Approval of minutes, regular meeting, March 24th, 2020. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby approves the March 24th, 2020 minutes as the regular meeting as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great.
Approval of the voucher detail report, April 14th, 2020. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated April 14th, 2020 to the amount of $384,339.59.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So I just want to thank you again to all of our departments for pulling together another check run to ensure our vendors get paid on their usual schedule, and a special shout out to our finance department. And we do have Dale Ferreira here, Dale Brennan Ferreira, from our finance department, who's been overseeing a very staggered shift of staff, and we appreciate all the hard work that goes into getting our bills paid. So thanks to the dedicated team. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed?
Resolution declaring vehicle as surplus and authorizing disposal. Resolved that the Town of Ossining hereby declares the following vehicles surplus equipment and authorizes disposal in accordance with New York State law by sale or otherwise as is. The list is on the webpage and is posted on the windows of the 16 Croton Avenue and on the bulletin board.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay, so every year we inventory equipment that has outlived its useful life for the town's needs, declare these items as surplus, and sell them at an online auction. I want to thank Highway Superintendent Pete Connolly, our lead mechanic Gary Cesari, and Fern Quesada for regularly monitoring our fleet and facilitating this annual auction. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Thank you. Okay,
Title
so- yeah.
Title 3-C NSIP Nutrition Services Contract PY 2020. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining authorizes the supervisor to sign the agreement with Westchester County Department of Senior Programs and Services for the purposes of receiving grant funds for the senior nutrition program for the program period January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020 for the 3-C program, and October 1, 2019 through September 30th, 2020 for the NSIP Nutrition Services Incentives Program with the following grant and matching amounts. Program 3-C-1, $49,038. Contract match, $16,346. Estimated 3CI NSIP, $11,642. No contractor match. Program 3-C-2, $20,041. Contractor match, $6,681. Estimated 3-C2 NSIP, $8,474 with no matching contractor match.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So this resolution approves our annual program contract for our senior nutrition program, including additional grant funds for this current program year, which we're very happy to be receiving. Thank you so much to Site Director Kathy Asaro and her staff for working hard to keep our seniors fed safely in their homes by delivering meals to them, especially during this very difficult time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Correspondence and to be received and filed. Monthly reports. Resolved that the town board of the town of Ossining hereby accepts the following monthly reports for the month of March 2020. Town Building Department, Town Tax Receiver's Office, Town Clerk's Office, Town Supervisor's Office, GE Helicopter Report, and Dale Cemetery.
Okay, do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Wonderful. Okay, now we are going to move into visitor recognition. Again, if a member of the public would like to address the board on any topic, if you can find the raise your hand on the Zoom to be unmuted, we would appreciate that. And please keep your comments to 4 minutes. Thank you so much for your understanding. Bear with us as we try to work through this for the second time this evening and basically first night that we're doing this. I'm going to turn it over to Victoria Caffarelli for recognizing people for public comment. And I think let's let Mindy Lamar go first because we know she has one.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Am I coming through there?
You are now coming through. We can hear
Okay,
you.
great, thank you. So the first question I have is, what cost-saving measures are you taking at this time? Is anybody being furloughed? Library personnel, school secretaries, maybe someplace where we can possibly borrow some funds until all the property taxes are paid. That's the first thing. The second thing is, my understanding is that only the state, whether it's the governor or the assembly, the Congress, can approve property tax deadline changes or methods of how we're doing it. Is that not right?
So, Mindy, I don't usually respond directly to questions and
Okay.
but
Okay, I'm assuming that is correct.
it is correct. Yes.
All right, well, so now,
the state.
okay, so now my understanding is the Board of Legislatures legislature for Westchester has made this decision to slash the penalties, extend the deadline, but slash the penalties for the first time to 0.5%, when in fact there are a couple of bills in the state Congress that have been proposed that have not been decided on, which is to defer payment of property taxes without penalty or interest. Okay, now, having said that, the city of Yonkers has pushed back, and I believe they're in Westchester. Last time I looked, they pushed back, and now the city of Yonkers is waiving all penalties on late property taxes, and they've extended the deadline. So why are we being penalized? Those of us that have lost jobs, that are having a tough time coming up with the money, the $23, which represents 0.5% of my tax bill, would do more in my pocket than in the town's pocket. I would like to find out why this is going on, not to mention the small businesses who need help around here, and yet you're still penalizing us. That's a slap in the face, and it's certainly not compassionate. Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the public who would like to comment during this visitor recognition section of our meeting?
I don't see anybody else that's notified me that they would like to speak or unmuted themselves, so.
Okay. So in that case, I do think that we are going to be addressing some of the comments that Ms. Lamar raised. So just as part of our work session discussion, that is the next topic of discussion specifically. So I would like to now move into our work session. Do I need to take a motion to do that?
Yeah, do a motion.
Okay. Can I have a motion to enter into work session?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, so we're going to start with our discussion of proposed property tax relief legislation from Westchester County Board of Legislators. So as we know, and as we just heard, a topic at the forefront of many people's minds has been the April 30th deadline for town and county taxes. As we have shared before, the town of Austin does not have the authority to extend the deadline or stagger payments in any way. Changes to the deadline can only be made by the state. However, some of the laws governing the penalty structure are dictated by Westchester County law. The Westchester County Board of Legislators, following close collaboration with all town supervisors in Westchester, and also following some very nice proposals from our county executive, introduced legislation that we believe would significantly reduce the penalty structure as previously described. Currently, if payment is not made by April 30th, the current penalty as it stands for a payment in May, during the month of May for late payment, right? So we know they're due on April 30th. So all of the month of May would be 2%. For payment in June or July, it would be 5%. For payment in August or September, it would be 7%. The new legislation from the County Board of Legislators, as currently drafted, reduces these penalties significantly to 0.5% if taxes are paid in May, 1% if taxes are paid between June 1st and July 15th, and 5% if the taxes are paid between July 16th and July 31st. At this time, there is no reduction in penalties for paying in August or September. This legislation effectively extends the deadline for payment without significant additional financial burden until July 15th. And as Ms. Lamar pointed out, comparatively to the amount of taxes paid, it is a 75 to 80% reduction in penalties which amounts to, on an average town county tax bill, which in Ossining is somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000. The penalty would be $15 to $20 if paid by the end of May, or $30 to $40 if paid by July 15th, which is essentially offering the same extension that has been made in the state and federal tax filing deadline. To be clear, the legislation has not yet been passed or enacted by the county, But if the county does end up enacting this legislation, and they do have their public hearing this evening, also starting at 7:30, it will likely happen by the end of this week, April 17th, or early next week. We will keep you updated as we receive any more information regarding the status of the law. Before I open it up for discussion among my board colleagues, I wanted to note a few things, and then receive a little bit of an update from members of our staff. In Westchester County, towns collect taxes on behalf of the school districts, county, and special districts, including the Mid-Hudson Ambulance District and the sewer districts. By law, we are required to make whole the warrant issued to us by these entities, regardless of whether or not we actually collect the funds from our taxpayers. That not only creates a huge financial liability for the town. This year, we owe Westchester County over $20 million in tax revenue, but it sets up a domino effect for all of these jurisdictions. Therefore, it's essential that we maintain, to the best of our ability, a consistent schedule for tax collection with consistent deadlines. We are not like the state or federal government. We do not withhold income tax revenues throughout the year. We rely on the one-time opportunity to collect the revenue that we use to operate for the year. Many municipal entities, including the county, will borrow a tax anticipation note to facilitate cash flow for the first few months of the year until they receive the tax revenue from taxpayers, or in the case of the county, from the individual towns. It is our understanding that the county's loan comes due within days of our deadline to pay 60% of the warrant, and that is May 25th, when we are due to pay the county that 60%. We believe the TAN is due on May 27th. If we do not collect taxes along with our usual payment schedule and do not pay the county timely, we start to see the worst case scenario begin to play out with the domino effect. I described earlier the county not being able to pay for its loan, possibly requiring the elimination of the many essential services provided to us from the county, potentially including the Department of Health, which is fighting this pandemic on the front lines, the Department of Senior Services, which facilitates the funding for our senior nutrition program, and many of the other services that have only become more important as we have to fight this pandemic. Not to mention the revenue that is collected this tax collection time that goes directly to our Mid-Hudson Ambulance District and our sewer districts. I know none of us want to see the Austin Volunteer Ambulance Corps struggling financially at this time. And what most people may not realize, with so many people at home, we have seen a higher stress on our sewer infrastructure, requiring additional cleanings, maintenance, and overtime to ensure that we can still flush our toilets. I think we can all agree that that is extremely important. That being said, I do hope it is clear that the town board to the town board and to the public why I stand alongside my fellow town supervisors in support of this legislation, which was put forth by the Westchester County Board of Legislators. The legislation is a product of thoughtful collaboration and compromise to ensure that we all fulfill our social obligations to one another, providing assistance to those experiencing unprecedented financial hardships right now, while maintaining the legal structures that ensure that essential services provided by the county, town, and special districts remain funded to the fullest extent possible. Also, I want to encourage all of our taxpayers that are fortunate enough to not be facing extreme hardships at this time to please pay your taxes before the April 30th deadline. Doing so will help our neighbors who cannot, and will ensure our public services remain intact during these tough times. And that is one of the reasons why we felt that this was the best option. Before I open this up to comment from the town board, we have our receiver of taxes, Holly Perlowitz, on the line, and I'd like to give her a bit of an update. I'd like her to give us a bit of an update on how collection has been going thus far and how it compares to last year. And then we'll hear from our Deputy Comptroller, Dale Brennan, who's with us. Dale will give us a little bit of a mini financial analysis on how this legislation will impact our bottom line. So we'll first hear from Honorable Holly Perlowitz.
Thank you, Dana. I want to just start off by saying the tax office is very much open, with modifications, of course, because we cannot, by executive order given by the governor, as you mentioned, Dana, be in the office. But again, with those modifications, we're doing things a little bit differently. but the office is certainly open. All phone calls are being forwarded to me. So while it's just one line coming in when it's normally 3 lines in the office, it's coming into one line. All calls are being answered or returned if the caller leaves a message by the end of the day, but certainly even much quicker than that. Our office hours are staggered. Someone is coming in every day to pick up the mail and process payments, again, and maintaining the required social distance, but nonetheless getting payments processed, mail opened, and getting payments processed. Our online system is active and available. Many of the phone calls that I'm receiving are from people who either have not previously used our online system and need help, or frankly don't have access to a computer, and I'm doing the payment for them. So I encourage all taxpayers that are having any issues at all to call the office, 914-762-8790, and we're able to help. I'm also, even though it says it on the bill, I'm also reminding people if they're mailing when they used to come into the office to make their payment and they want a receipt back, to mail in the entire bill, because one of the things we do when we process payments is stamp the typical receipt part and send it back to the taxpayer. You know, certainly we recognize this is a whole bunch of angst for everybody. It was certainly a very difficult time to have to send out a tax bill, but as Dana mentioned, it's the law, and we had to do that. You know, that being said, it is my goal to make sure that we are available to our taxpayers as much as we possibly can, and again, by answering phone calls and responding to any of their concerns, answering emails, all of the things that just keep the communication flow going. And I have to say that I am very pleased that taxpayers have been reaching out a lot and getting responded to, and I feel that they feel that they're being aided during this time. Collections are keeping pace with last year. Certainly ebbs and flows based on mail and based on people who normally would come in who are now mailing, so maybe there's a couple of days lag. And I'm enormously thankful, again, to our taxpayers who understand that the town, as Dana said, relies on the tax revenues almost solely to support all the services that Dana had mentioned. As of today, we've collected a bit over $4 million of the $32 million warrant, which, as Dana also mentioned, includes $20 million, which is us collecting county taxes, which will have to be remitted to the county in May. We do hope that in the next week we get payments from banks related to people who have their taxes escrowed, and certainly I've been in touch with them, and there's every intention to pay, and they do so to collect their own collateral, and they understand how this works. So once again, I encourage everyone and anyone to reach out to the tax office at 762-8790 or email me at hperlowitz@townofaustining.com, at townofaustining.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, the office is humming and responding to people all the time, and I frankly look forward to the time at which taxpayers that normally come into our office to pay their taxes will be able to do so when this very difficult time is over. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It sure is a tough time for everybody, and we appreciate your constant feedback to all of those people who are calling your office on a regular basis. Okay, so can we hear a little from our Deputy Comptroller, Dale Brennan? Dale, are you available?
Okay, sorry, still getting used to these buttons. Thank you, Town Supervisor, Town Board. It's very true, especially whereas the county has financial obligations which limit what they can do in terms of extensions and such. The town has limitations as well. We adopt a budget that begins in January that we do not start collecting on until now, till April. If we take our warrant amount for the town, including special districts, ambulance, as you said, we have a total warrant balance of $11,647,098. If we take 1/4 of that, which is the first 3 months of the year, that's 2.9 million that we're operating basically on our fund balance cash amounts in order to fund these items. So it's important for us to definitely bring that money in April, as well as we have to make the schools whole as of April 5th, which we did this year, to make sure that they're fulfilled and in balance for their own budgets. So in terms of penalty though, and the reduction in percent, it equals about a little over 15,000 in a revenue loss, which definitely, you know, in order to help people out and give some sort of flexibility is definitely a good opportunity and the way to go.
Okay. So thank you for all that extra information. Do any of my board colleagues have any comments or questions on this topic for either our Deputy Comptroller or our Receiver of Taxes? And not hearing any specific questions. Is there anything else that you want to talk about as part of our discussion regarding this legislation? I do have a letter prepared that basically worked off of a letter that the president of Association of Town Supervisors, Warren Lucas, had written on behalf of town supervisors to the Board of Legislators, CCing the county executive, and I can read that now, and depending on how the board feels about it, which I'm hoping will be in support, it does offer a little bit additional explanation from what I have already offered. So why don't I read that letter now? And then if you have further comments or any kind of adjustments that you'd like us to make, otherwise we will get that out to the board as soon as possible to be entered into their record as part of the public hearing. It's to Honorable Legislator Kitley Covell, who is the chair of the Legislative Committee, as well as our County Legislator Catherine Borgia and the entire County Board of Legislators. Dear Honorable Legislator Covell, in addition to the support you have received from the supervisors of Westchester County via Warren Lucas, President of the Association of Town Supervisors, the Town Board of the Town of Ossining would like to echo support for the proposed legislative changes you are going to vote on this Friday, April 17th, and for which you are receiving comment via public hearing opened this evening, April 14th, 2020. We want to reiterate our support for the extra effort both the County Executive's Office and the County Board has made to accommodate those of our taxpayers who are finding it very difficult, if not impossible, to make timely payments of their town county property taxes at this time. The legislative changes currently before the County Legislature, altering County Law 283.221 with the addition of Section 3A, will go a long way to offer the essence of an extension to those who need it most. During the past months with the COVID-19 virus pandemic, many of our businesses and families in our community have become financially stressed. So these changes provide them with additional flexibility when paying their real estate taxes, while still allowing the towns and the county to meet their obligations under the law. The benefits of Section 3A are as follows. It provides an extreme lowering of the penalties for late payment of taxes through July 15th, down to 0.5 or 1%. This is a 75 to 80% reduction in late penalties. An average town-county tax bill in Ossining is somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000, so the penalty for payment in May would amount to $15 to $20, and for payment in June through July 15th, $30 to $40. Number 2, it provides the consistent dates and discounts for all taxes, town, district, and county taxes, which is critical as a tax receiver cannot legally accept partial payments of a tax bill. The July 15th date also aligns with those of state and federal government's tax filing extensions. 3, it removes the burden on the municipalities of trying to determine an individual, family, or business hardship, which would also have been a problem to apply evenly across municipalities. Number 4, it provides for the tax monies to be available so that the municipalities can pay the various tax warrants on time as required by law. As tough a time as we are all in right now, we know the wheels keep turning to effectuate a safe society. County and town governments are at the forefront of ensuring safe roads, sewer treatment, healthcare providers, mental health services, food and housing security, senior nutrition, emergency responders, and so much more. We are grateful for this effort to find a way for these essential services to continue, while also understanding that until some of the federal and state benefits kick in, many might not be able to fulfill their tax obligations. Once again, we thank the county executive and the Board of Legislators for moving this legislation forward for the benefit of our residents, our businesses, and the good of our county. Sincerely, Dana Levenberg and all of the board members. So with that, I would just like to once again open it up to our board for any comments, any questions.
Okay, I have to say that I agree with the legislation. I know that any penalty at this time is difficult. I am in the same boat with a lot of people. My job was shut down, so it's going to be challenging to come up with it. But I do know that a lot of people, if there is no penalty, will choose just to wait until the last minute, and we can't afford to do that for all the reasons that Dana mentioned. And we need to keep the services running and to allow the county to meet their obligations. So the minimum penalty hopefully will encourage people who could come up with the money to come up with the money, while at the same time trying not to penalize people who are having financial hardships. I definitely understand. I'm in the boat with you. So that's where I stand.
Okay, thank you. Other board members?
I was just wanted to say that I think it offers the best solution that we can in a time that's very difficult. I don't think we have a lot of options. So I am also in support of it.
Okay. Councilman Meyer, Councilman Welcher, anybody else want to comment?
Yes, I've been holding up my hand, but nothing happened. But I just wanted to say that I agree with you, with the Board of Legislators. And I also wanted to say thank you to all of the first responders and the guys that's out there all the time. Because the garbage people have never missed a pickup. The people from the road and village town haven't missed a tree or anything that was in the road. They've done. I just want to say thank you to them. I think they're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And I'm on your side with the
Wonderful.
legislature.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would just say I'm supportive of the county board's proposal as well. You know, I think an important thing to know for people at home is Westchester County is the only county where the towns have to pay the county, so it creates another level of complexity when we try to figure out how to fix these types of things.
Absolutely. And I do just want to also let the board know, and somewhat in response to the comment or question that Ms. Lamar posed, we have basically halted any unnecessary expenditures at this time. And to the extent that we have been able to, for the most part, many of our part-timers have been furloughed. Essentially, the language is not exactly correct. We're really just using those people that we count on an as-needed basis at this moment in time, so that we can continue to offer town services to the best of our ability. So, and really there's no overtime payments that we've been staggering except if needed. And I can give you an example that sometimes, we've had funerals that have exceeded our regular work days, and we have to, unfortunately, bury people. This is a very sad time. And we really count on our essential employees to make sure that we are servicing all of our public to meet the needs that we have currently, and they are many. Okay, so with that, I would say that we do have consensus to send that letter to the board in support, the Board of Legislators in support of their legislation, and we're going to try to get that out this evening. I'm not sure what time it is right now, but I think that they stopped accepting public comment by 8 o'clock tonight, but I know that they're still going to be accepting written comment, hopefully through Friday when they meet again. So we'll get that out to them this evening in case they are still meeting. Okay, so we have one more item to discuss in our work session, and that is our meetings, our public meetings via Zoom. At our March 16th special meeting, the town board adopted a resolution canceling all meetings of the town land use boards, until April 15th with the intention of revisiting the topic at this meeting. Since that resolution was adopted almost a whole month ago, we have become much more adept at utilizing Zoom, although we're not perfect yet for our past 2 town board legislative sessions. It's also seeming like we should be able to resume. It doesn't seem like we're going to be able to resume our in-person meetings anytime soon, but it seems like we have finally reached a point where we can get back to some sense of normalcy and continue our town business virtually. So we will be working closely with the chair of our Environmental Advisory Committee and Sandy Anelli and our building department to get each of our land use boards up and running with Zoom capabilities in advance of their May meetings. I just want to see if the board had any comments or questions on this topic or suggestions for improvement of our Zoom meetings. There's still a lot to learn, and I will say that I am currently on the executive board of Westchester Municipal Planning Federation, who had a meeting this morning, and one of the webinars that they're going to offer is going to be specifically for land use boards on conducting meetings via Zoom. So anyway, go ahead, board members. I'm sorry. Councilman Meyer, did you have something you wanted to say about that? Since you had spent plenty of time on land use board yourself, I'm sure you would enjoy a nice Zoom meeting.
Hey, any way that gets it done, I'm sure we got to do what we got to do. So.
And I believe that our council, Town Madonna, that you have had the experience of some Zoom planning or zoning board meetings in other municipalities. Did you want to make mention of how those have been going, maybe?
So the executive, there was an executive order issued last week that does specifically address public hearings and does authorize them to go forward in a video conference, teleconference, or similar service format. Previously, we were working off of an executive order that had been issued several weeks ago that suspended certain provisions of public officers law, which allowed the video conferencing, but that was for public meetings. So now we have an executive order that has specifically addressed public hearings, which is how most land use boards operate. The town board has public meetings and they have to operate in public, but there's not always the opportunity or the requirement of public input. The town board received it this evening as standard practice, but it's not a legal requirement. For instance, with the zoning board, virtually everything the zoning board does has to be by public hearing. So that's an extra step because you have to make sure that you incorporate an ability like we were working on tonight, make sure that the public can not only observe what's going on, but at the appropriate time can also verbally or orally participate. And so that's something that we're going to have to work on. But a lot of municipalities have been doing it. And I think it just takes, you have to have a board that's, willing to try. And I think most land use boards, just the nature of who they are, they're generally volunteers. They attend night meetings. This is something that just by their nature and what they're doing, they're willing to embrace. And so I'm confident that the Ossining boards will react the same way. And so hopefully we'll be able to keep things moving along so that when we'll go back to normal in terms of businesses and non-essential businesses being able to operate, we have a log jam in the land use review process.
Okay. Yes, I think that this is definitely the wave of the immediate future. So are there any comments from town board members who'd like to discuss this at all, or you
my concerns would be that making sure that the public can understand how to get onto the Zoom meetings and participate, and make sure that we're getting the feedback that we know we normally get, and maybe we would extend the comment period, or just want to make sure that the public has a way to give their input in a meaningful way. I'm sure that's the whole point of working on these meetings and what you're trying to work out, but I mean, to me, that's the most important part.
Absolutely, and that's certainly something that we're going to have to keep an eye on when we're figuring out these procedures. For instance, generally, the zoning board, most applications are one meeting. You have the public hearing. Unless there are any outstanding issues, the public hearing is closed and the board will vote. We may want to, for the time being, implement a different procedure where the public hearing may be closed, but the board holds it open for written comment for 10 days afterwards, which isn't an uncommon occurrence with the planning board, which may be considering a bigger project that will cover more meetings, which is generally the case with planning board applications. So I think it's definitely going to be a fact-specific and board-specific inquiry as to how the best way is to handle it. But Councilwoman Feldman, you're absolutely right that first and foremost, and the one thing that we're all the most focused and concerned about is making sure that we make the public aware, we make it accessible, and we make sure they are able to participate, because it doesn't benefit anyone if we go forward with this process, but we're not getting the feedback we need, or we're not following the proper procedure. So that's something that is going to be something that we're going to have to work on. And I think that's also part of the reason why, like the supervisor said, coming on a month ago, the board decided to just cancel the next few upcoming land use meetings, because we were starting to get these executive orders every day, and sometimes multiple times a day, putting increasingly stringent restrictions on holding public meetings, congregating in public places. And so I think the board understandably was concerned about how that could affect the ability of these land use boards to operate. And so the decision was made to cancel the next few upcoming meetings of the planning board and the town board's work sessions, in order to give us an opportunity to get a handle on what was going to be the new reality and how we could effectuate that responsibly.
Thank you.
So yes, we will make sure that will continue. Okay, anybody else want to comment on the public meeting portion of this for our land use boards? Okay, well, in that case, I would ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session for advice of counsel, personnel, and contracts.
I'm sorry, Supervisor. I don't know if you wanted to just mention, speaking of public comments, how people could comment on the legislation before the Westchester County Board of Legislators.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think I missed that. Absolutely. Yes, I do want to mention that, and I lost track of that, so let me find it. Okay. Yes, I wanted to say that, as mentioned, we would send a letter since the board is supportive, to our Board of Legislators, and hopefully that'll go out this evening. And if it hasn't already, I wanted to encourage members of the public to submit their comments directly to the Board of Legislators as a reminder that this legislation is primarily before the County Board of Legislators, not the town board. So it's important to make your voices heard at their level of government. And you can email your letters to BOL, as in Board of Legislators, public hearing comments at westchestergov.com. So BOL, public hearing comments at westchestergov.com, to the attention of the clerk of the Board of Legislators. And please feel free to share your comments with them. I think that's it for land use boards. I think that's it for the legislation. And if I could now, is there anything else I missed, Victoria? Are we good? Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session for advice of counsel, personnel, and contracts?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back with a work session next Tuesday, April 21st, also via Zoom. Stay tuned for the meeting access information that we will send out Friday afternoon with the agenda. And also stay tuned when I can figure out when I will do my next Facebook Live update about how the town is doing and our responses to coronavirus, and also look forward to our connection to that resource guide that the Village of Austin is working on. And we are helping, hopefully, to add to that as well. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great night. And if you, town board, if you will stay tuned, we have an executive session on another line. So if you are saying goodbye and leaving this line, please make sure that you follow the lead to the other executive session Zoom connection. And that goes for you, Councilman Wiltshire, especially. Okay? I'll see you soon.